if you're helping people, you're doing your job
Right.
in any market. The same with contracting. If we're helping people, man, we're making sales, we're doing our job. And that's what was the fun part, was actually changing people's lives at S2. It's having them come back in and say, man,
I lost 50 pounds.
I lost 50
Look at me
pounds.
6 months later. And
I didn't
I'm a
think
new
I
person.
could do that. And the look in their eyes, so sincere, still to this day, you can't watch that.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to episode 6 of the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
And we are here with a special guest today. It's a Thursday episode, so that means it's an episode with a guest. But first, I want to do some housekeeping. The other day on my social media, I announced that we are doing a Zach and Pat book club. So one of my goals this year was to get back into reading daily and trying to read a book a month this year. So Pat wanted to join me, and we figured we would read a book every month together and then do a podcast about the book at the end of the month. So the book this month is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So buy it, read it along with us. And then on January 31st, we'll be recording that podcast. That means it's going to release the following Monday, so you guys can follow along. And as always, if you guys get anything out of the show, tell a friend, like, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. That helps the show grow and helps us. So we'd appreciate that. And now we want to introduce our guest today. He is a client, a friend. He is the owner and operator of White River Contracting, the great and powerful Matt Vogt.
What's going on, everybody?
We're happy to have you here, man. So, tell the listeners or people watching at home a little bit about you.
Not much to tell. Pretty average guy. Have a semi-decent, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, contracting company. Not anywhere close to where we want to be yet, but we're getting there. Last year we did fairly decent numbers, and we learned a lot about ourselves growth-wise. And I think this year is going to be an even better year as far as hiring people. I think we're going to start off the year with 4 people, so still relatively small company, but we're moving into bigger ventures, and we're actually going to be working on a venue that you might be familiar with. It's going to be a CrossFit gym that I'm really proud of, and hopefully that goes well.
I'm super, super excited to that, because considering I am a member of that CrossFit gym, and I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah, man. So how long have you been in business? Tell us a little bit about.
Been in business 5 years. I originally worked for the railroad, if we're going all the way back.
Yeah, let's go all the way back,
All the way
man.
back.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Tell us everything.
Worked at the railroad, used, abused, eaten alive. All of our parents, if you worked back in the railroad back in the day, that is the job. That is the job. It was the most safe job you could have. It was supposed to be the epitome of what you should have when you grow up, right? Well, it's backbreaking, and you travel a lot, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's just not what it was maybe back when our parents did it, or, well, yeah, I mean, even since 2020, I know friends that took a big hit there too, but did that, left there, went to S2 and First Form, 2 local companies out of St. Louis, Missouri. Met a lot of amazing people, and the owners, Chris Klein and Andrew Frisell, actually got me into entrepreneurship. So fast forward another 2 to 3 years, left, went back to the railroad, unfortunately. And then a man named Jared Connell called me, started working back there because they wanted me back, and put me in a different spot I was way better off in. And I lit it up for another 3 years, man. And every day I work closely with Chris Klein directly, doing logistics for Supplement Superstore franchises. When I did that, I learned a lot directly from Chris, and then even more from Andy via podcasts and everything else he does. But, got into entrepreneurship. First company didn't work out, which wasn't any fault of anyone. Me and my business partner actually moved down to Florida, learned custom cabinetry. He decided to take a W-2 job down there instead of focus on the business. I went the opposite way, moved back to Missouri, started White River. Here we are doing commercial jobs. I worked for law firms. I worked for gyms. I've worked for the average residential person. At the end of the day, we just want to make somebody's vision possible within their means. And if we can do that, then we're doing all right.
That's awesome. So let's take it back. So you work for the railroad.
Oh yeah.
And backbreaking, hard work. You know, I'm sure you learned a lot from that job that carried over into probably transferred into some of the success that you had becoming an entrepreneur. Let's want to dive into that a little bit. Some of that stuff that kind of carried over from that first job that might have pushed you to where you're at today.
First of all, don't embezzle. Learn that.
Yeah.
Side note. But no, seriously, dude, the biggest thing I took away from the railroad was when you were working with a bunch of quote unquote alpha males out there, literally swinging sledgehammers and spike balls, trying to get rail lines fixed. Everyone has to be on the same team. There can't be one person that's bigger than the other. You got to put your ego aside or else nothing's going to fucking get done. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can cuss.
Go for it.
Cuss, yeah. Say whatever.
Dude, you really can't have an ego. If you have an ego, you're screwed. You're screwed. There was, when Metrolink, for example, we literally got into an altercation on the Metrolink. 2 crew members did. And so at the end of the night, we're talking 8 p.m. They would shut down one track for Metrolink downtown St. Louis, right? So they would just run both trains opposite ways on one track, right? Has to be dialed in because you don't need no fucking message, right? But if we weren't off the track by 7 a.m. sharp, we'd get a $10,000 fine per minute.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
2 guys got into a fight. We didn't make it back to the siding is what you called it, where you put all your equipment and everything, because you got to travel the equipment down the rail line.
You're just carrying that by hand?
No.
Oh.
When we had our hammers, spike kegs, everything on the equipment, and we would drive the equipment, which would be a spiker, all the stuff you see cruising down that's not a train down the tracks. That's all freaking equipment to fix the tracks, right? So we were moving all that stuff down. Fight breaks out. Boom. Fines. $50,000, just like that.
Now, who pays for that? Like the railroad or like the company you work for, or is it the employee? Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, the companies, yeah, they paid for it. They got fired. But, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, you can't do that shit.
Yeah.
$50,000.
It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
It's crazy. And then the city is saying the Metrolink is the one who's doing those fines?
Oh, yeah.
And then you said from there, so some it sounds like you mentioned, really hard back-breaking work. What was it like going from there? You said from there to First Form, Supplement Superstores. Did you go Supplement Superstores first and then First Form? Or how'd that work?
I went to Supplement Superstore first. A gentleman named Kyle Combs, who actually owns the franchises out in
KC.
KC, is the one who is local here. He is the one that brought me on, and he was the fucking man. But I went there, dude. Biggest thing about both those jobs, careers between the railroad and Supplement Superstore is it's both fucking hard work, grueling, long hours, but it's for a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? One's backbreaking, one's mentally taxing, and mentally taxing because if you want to be the absolute best and help people to the fullest, you got to be on top of every ingredient that comes out, and ingredients come out daily. If you're not on top of that, you're not helping somebody out.
Right.
I don't care if it's a young kid that wants to come in and learn about C4, because at the time, I don't know how it is now, but if I gave C4 to the wrong college athlete, he could pop on a drug test, right? So I needed to know that, or else I could really hurt someone's life.
Yeah.
All the way down to if somebody wants to come in and buy a Now product for
A what product?
a Now product, it's just a general product like
NOW.
Yeah. It's like L-theanine and just basic raw ingredients.
Oh, like raw
that.
ingredients, like a
Yeah.
gate alanine or
Exactly.
something like that. Okay.
So it's a like a lot of people don't buy that stuff.
Right. I feel like only like the real like hardcores are buying like the straight supplements.
Exactly. So, but you need to know all the active ingredients and everything like that too. So, they both had their perks. And the nice thing about S2 was once you got into there, you really shined for what you got, man. I mean, you put it out on the table, probably like you, Zach. I mean, you get out of it what you put in, right?
100%,
as far as what you're selling.
Right.
Same thing. If you're helping people, you're doing your job
right.
in any market. The same with contracting. If we're helping people, man, we're making sales, we're doing our job. And that's what was the fun part, was actually changing people's lives at S2. It's having them come back in, say, man,
I lost 50 pounds.
Look
at me
pounds
6 months later, and
I didn't
I'm a
think
new
I
person.
could do that. And the look in their eyes, so sincere, still to this day, you can't match that. I remember I was working in Brentwood. Customer came in and told me that he said he was fighting for 3 to 4 years trying to lose weight. And he only lost 20 pounds at that time, but he almost broke down in tears. And it was one of the best feelings I can ever have in my life, because you could just see how much it actually meant to him that he was changing his life. So that was cool. And then bouncing over to First Form, we kind of did the...
Now, what'd you do there?
I started working in the warehouse.
Okay.
So when I originally worked for a supplement superstore, it was you had to do so well in the store to actually get the opportunity to work at First Form.
Okay.
And then, so I was going back and forth between S2 and First Form. I would be at S2 in the store and I'd work at the warehouse, right? I think there was 5 people at the time, the warehouse.
Like you, Aaron Summers, Will, Scott, and maybe Jerry.
Correct.
Damn, the
Exactly.
OGs.
Exactly.
OGs.
Exactly.
Now those guys are like, half those guys are like all executives now, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All those guys.
All
were
those guys, yeah.
I think Chico and Kevin were there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Chico just got his locker.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Chico,
him.
John Quintal, they both got their lockers.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah.
They've been around a minute.
So something is that actually it was through Matt I begun working with First Form. And so when you're with the company at X amount of years, usually you get a pair of boots. But once you win what is known as the Core Values Award, which is like their man of the year, you also get a locker. And the idea, whenever they moved into the building, because we were there the first night we walked into New HQ, is we want this to have the vibe of like a state-of-the-art training facility for pro athletes.
I think they measured it off Alabama's facility. If that's true.
Makes sense why Austin Davis has a locker right
Uh-huh.
now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Says a lot about Alabama's facility.
For sure.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about what collegiate sports have.
Oh, yeah.
Just the amount of money college sports brings in. I'm just glad, being a former college athlete, that kids are getting paid. I'm sure we could go on this tangent for a while.
Did you watch a game?
The
Last night?
game last night? No, I was dealing with my 2 little ones, and they wanted to watch anything other than football. So,
Oh.
That's fair. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, boys.
I know.
That was a good one.
Was
I've
it?
been a bad sports fan the last couple of years. That's for sure. I feel like the only thing I follow is the MMA and UFC. Really, it's pretty much the
I don't
only thing I
blame you.
follow these days. I just don't have time for it, man.
Yeah,
Just-
that's fair. I mean,
I've watched a little bit of the NFL this year. I mean, I play fantasy every year, but like you can ask any of the guys in my fantasy football league, I am like the one that they all know that like just doesn't pay attention. I just got too much shit going on,
dead last. All my leagues.
Really?
Yep.
Fuck.
Usually I was
I
first.
think I was like 10th
Usually
out
I'm
of
like
12.
first, second. Miserable, dude. Yeah, I think
Michigan won, right?
Michigan did win.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because now what's Harbaugh going to do?
Right?
Is he
Yeah.
going to go back to the NFL?
I don't know.
Well,
Well,
he just signed what? It was a 10-year deal for 125.
Oh, yeah.
And was that 4? Was it how long ago was that he
Jim
signed?
Harbaugh?
Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh contract.
Yeah. And so I don't know. He's turned that pro, like I was reading a stat. He turned, like, the first 6 years were rough, but the last 4 have been insane. It's like
Well, how many years has he been there? Because he was with the Niners before he went there, right?
Mhm.
His current deal is 10 years, $125 million.
And that
Damn.
was
So
signed
$12 million a
when-
year.
Talking
Okay.
money.
You'd think if he just recently signed it, I don't know if he'd be.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be
by
talking about. Yeah,
NFL, but
I don't know.
who knows?
Dude, how many college
His
coaches got
contract
bought
runs-
out this year alone out
Really?
of their contracts? Hundreds of millions of dollars
Yeah.
per coach.
Hmm.
And think about that.
Well, I mean, let's go back.
Free money.
Right.
Some coaches are getting paid for the next 6 years sitting on
their ass.
Yeah. Hundreds of millions.
That just goes to show you how much money those sports make and generate. Dude. It's insane.
It's absurd.
Like,
well, I'm so happy that college athletes can finally start accepting sponsorships. Right. I mean, I don't know why that so many years went by that they weren't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, they're image likeness, and they're selling their jerseys. They're profiting and they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year off the backs of these players. And as I was on the baseball side, which is not a big money generating sport, but
not in college.
Football and basketball, like those two sports generate so much money to fund other sports. And we went to Missouri State. I'm not sure where you went to school. Where'd you go to college at?
Oh, I just did just local
MIT.
Yeah. That's it, baby.
And so we all went to Missouri State. Yeah. So knowing the guys on the football team, like we were the team that the big schools paid to come and get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
And that's how we generated money for our programs. But, we're starting to see it now, even like a small mid-major school, that some of these players are starting to get local NIL deals. It's not a lot, but it's enough to, get a couple $100 a month. That's huge. Yeah. That's huge. But, what I'm afraid of with this NIL stuff is that you're just going to start, like, there's no, and I've got friends that coach in college, and they're like, there's no loyalty anymore. Like, you lose that loyalty aspect, because I'm not sure on the football or basketball side, but like on baseball, LSU is going to be a massive powerhouse for years, because all they do is they'll go in. They don't think they have any freshmen. All they do is go to the portal and be like, hey, you want to win a national championship? Come here. We'll give you this much. And then we're going to give you, say, $150,000 in NIL money. How do you turn that? Like,
as an 18-year-old,
right? Well, yeah, sophomore, junior, senior,
20-year-old kid. Right. How the fuck do you say no to that?
Exactly. So
I feel like if a community really wants to see a college succeed,
right, they could.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to get kids to Mizzou, we have AB, right?
Yeah.
What if we had AB be like, hey, Mizzou's a local. We love them.
Right, for sure.
Let's pitch
Screw Mizzou. Let's get SLU on the map.
Yeah,
sure.
SLU. Let's do
something to that nature.
Yeah, why can't SLU be like a big powerhouse, and like why SLU doesn't have a football team?
Because it's a private Catholic university.
Right. That.
Well, but there's other private Catholic universities that are like big time.
Texas Christian.
And even think about like Notre Dame, for example. Yeah, but think about the disparity in those between big public state schools.
Yeah.
The money that the guys can give away over here, I think, is a lot different than the endowments that people can give away in private religious universities, probably.
Yeah, that's true. I always forget that SLU's like.
Well, we don't know what money private universities are giving away because it's private.
Yeah, but
you don't think there's some backhanded stuff going on behind closed doors?
Look at Harvard's endowment. They get $50 billion a year for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and look at their sports programs.
Right.
Epstein had an office at Harvard until, 2018?
Bill Ackman's taking away all that money. Right, I'm done. Anybody got tinfoil on him?
I got a couple rolls downstairs.
Here's the Andy, the tinfoil guy.
Ain't no doubt about that.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much those two sports generate for the rest of the university, and it's good now that as it should. But and that's the thing too, is you're going to start seeing kids stay in college longer. What was it? Caleb Williams making more money in college than he would make playing in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, why would you not? Which is great, because now kids are
take a victory lap.
Right, exactly. Well, that and you're getting your education, which is, I mean, really an education anymore? I mean, that's the thing.
Was it ever? Somebody said,
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I watched that Johnny Manziel documentary a while back on Netflix, and it was like, him joking about how his classes were. I mean, it was like all online, or, he couldn't even go to class. He was a fucking celebrity.
Right.
And so there's so many different, I
mean, we didn't have to worry about that at Missouri State. I mean,
no,
we're not, we're not on that level, but you're right. I mean, you would have classes, and you would, people that you were in class with, and you wanted to go, you just make friends with them, and they would give you your notes, and you just had to make sure you were there for
the test day. And, and you probably, I mean, if you're anything like, mean, my fraternity in college, we had a nice little test bank.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was like one of the benefits of being, and I'm sure these college athletes, had access to that too. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shoot, we have a whole academic center with tutors, and they're purposely putting you in classes that with teachers that they know will work with athletes, especially like during season. So, I was a test dummy because I was maybe the first baseball player in a long time that was getting their degree in finance. So I was a test dummy. For some of these teachers, and one of them was just real peach. Needless to say, they have to sign a contract with the players that they're willing to, because they're in season, they know that they're going to miss classes, that they have to allow them the chance to make up classwork and things like that, or make sure that they have the assignments ready for them if they're going to miss. And so most players on game days would just skip class altogether because, hey, it's game day. And so, but for me, getting my degree, that was always a big thing. So I made sure, especially this finance class, because it was one of the hardest finance classes that I had to take. So I had to make sure that I was there, and I had to pass it in order to get my degree. And so, I mean, not have to pass it by much. If I got a C, great. But I get to the end of the year and come to find out that I'm failing. And I'm like, I've passed every test. I've turned in every assignment, but apparently no. There was assignments that I was missing from when I was gone that she never told me about, and she wouldn't let me make them up or anything like that. Needless to say, I pulled out the contract that she signed, and
Y'all disputed.
And and basically, yeah. So anyway, they went back and eliminated those grades, basically just voided those off of my school, taking it out of my grade, and ended up passing. But yeah, it's
nice.
It's shit like that. And that's the stuff, like, they want people to cater to the athletes and help the athletes out and work with them. I mean,
sure, their money.
Right. Exactly. I'm sure some of these schools might have special people to take their class.
I think you also have to kind of look at like how
helpers.
Yes.
I think you kind of have to look at how hiring in college has changed over the last 40 years too. I believe that there was a point in time before tuition started going up super crazy amounts to where you went to college for anything, you would walk out with a degree and you were instantly more hireable. Right. But these days we don't have tenured professors who are experts in their field. They hire activists to preach at you and teach you what to think. And if not, they shame you and guilt you.
I don't know. I personally think the college degree has become pointless.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say the same thing.
And I remember when I was coming out of college was right after the big recession, the mortgage crisis, and things were shit. Mm-hmm. So people were staying in school, getting their MBAs, and it was like you couldn't get a job unless you had an MBA. And now, I don't even it's pointless. Like, there's no. I don't think.
Yeah, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or some sort of specialist like that, but just going and like doing what I did and getting a degree in psychology and a minor in general business, like, what the fuck is that going to get me now?
Right. Like, you can go watch all that shit on YouTube and learn all about that stuff on YouTube for free.
For sure.
And have the same level of education as someone that went to Harvard or any of these big schools. Like, I don't know. It's you want, like, gives a shit where you went to college now. It doesn't matter. Like, Harvard's lost its luster. Like, all of these schools, I don't feel they don't have that. Like, oh shit,
there's no value.
No,
there's no value in the name anymore.
No.
Well, and by the time
it's just a money grab now.
That's exactly it.
Oh yeah, and by the time you graduate, half the shit that you learned when you were in there is out of date. Because things are changing so fast. I mean, look at where we're at now compared to, 2007 is when the iPhone came out. Look at how much shit has changed since 2007. I mean, the fucking world is a completely different place.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, but look at back when we were kids, no social media.
MySpace.
We had, MySpace. I remember when MySpace came out, and that was a big deal. But, when we were kids, just think of how we grew up versus how kids now are growing up. I think it's vastly different. And
absolutely. And I think, honestly, because of technology, we've got a lot of kids that are stuck in front of screens, but ultimately, the information that's being passed on to these kids, like, in certain situations, it's bad, but there's a lot of good information out there that we could potentially see a much smarter generation based on the information and how easily available it is for these kids to learn that stuff. I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, I pay so much money for my kids to go to this daycare, and when I drop them off in the morning, they've got YouTube going, and when I pick them up at night, there's YouTube going, and it's like, why am I paying all this fucking money for my kids to sit in front of the screen? I was like, hell, I could pay somebody half what I'm paying this and have them sit there and put fucking YouTube on my TV
Flippy.
at home.
Now, is that hurting jobs? Is that also making kids lazy? That's my gripe with all of that. If we start doing stuff ourselves, takes away bread from somebody else, no matter how we look at it. Also, I don't like social media a lot. I don't like a lot of things about technology. It's for the example of what you just said. Our kids, well, I don't have kids, but my nephew, always in front of the iPad. He won't go outside and play. Is it making him lazy? 1,000%. Are there going to be another generation of railroad workers? That's what we should worry about.
Or plumbers.
Plumbers,
or
yeah. I mean, we got
anything in trades. Trades.
Good luck.
Right.
We are the people that built the country. If there's not us, you guys are really in trouble.
We're going to get taken over by the robots.
Your
man.
3D printed house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the longevity of a 3D printed house? Anyone know?
Not a clue.
Because I'm pretty sure the cobblestone roads in Rome are still like good.
Right.
That took work.
For
Right?
sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can't beat hard work. And I'm afraid that people are going to take advantage of, in particular, AI, cost us jobs, and really, really hurt America's work ethic. I mean, I could be wrong. Going on tangent, but just a thought. See what you guys thought.
No, I completely agree in terms of the hard work and that and making us lazier. I mean, I know for like my boys, when they're at the house, I mean, they're by the time I pick them up, it's usually dark now. So going outside and running around and playing is a little bit tougher. Plus it's cold. But we'll throw the football around inside the house. I don't give a shit if they knock something over.
Right, exactly.
My house is pretty bare of things that can break. I mean, got a couple picture frames up that have cracks in it, which is fine. It adds to the character.
Yeah.
But but no, like we'll throw the football or get them swinging a baseball bat in the house. Or my youngest likes to tackle people, so
awesome.
We'll set them up and I'll lay on the ground and they'll run and they'll tackle me. Like just like working on things like that to keep them active, and then to calm down at the end of the day. You know what? Before we go to bed, you know what? I'll give you 20 minutes of TV time.
Oh yeah,
or
100%.
It's like, hey, TV time or read a book. And most of the time, obviously, they're going to pick TV.
Well, yeah.
But then when we go to bed, hey, Dad, I know you said 20 minutes of TV, but can you read a book? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So
see, that's
never
a good
gonna say
influence.
no.
Right.
For them
Yeah.
to say that.
Yeah,
you're a good influence.
exactly.
on them.
So and my ex-wife and I are on the same page with that, and that's what's it's just making sure that they are getting that in. I know that they spend time like a lot. Like again, they have these big ass screens, like big screens in each of their rooms, and they do a lot of the teaching from that screen. Not saying that they're watching YouTube all day every day, but they have a lot of interactive games that teach them. I mean, it's basically the new chalkboard. It's no longer we don't have to go up with chalk and everything. It's digital, and so that's the main use from what I've been told.
That's fair.
From what I've seen, obviously, beginning of the morning and at the end of the day, when everything's all done, it might be different. But ultimately, I'm making sure that my kids, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing, that they're staying active
Mhm.
and doing things other than just sitting in front of a TV.
Well, and another thing, let me recant. I won't say recant what I said, but when I was speaking on laziness, I mean, so for me, when I learn, like you guys are commanding attention, he is commanding attention, right? We are face-to-face learning, right?
Right.
I am a hands-on learner. I do that stuff. But if you're a teacher and you set up YouTube and you expect me to, my fucking ADHD ass to fucking pay attention, I'm going to be off in fucking Wonderland.
Right.
Over here, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's where I was kind of wondering, is it going to make the teachers lazy?
Gotcha.
Oh, and
absolutely.
Then will it affect the kids learning without us even knowing it? That was kind of what I was.
Oh yeah,
I was
absolutely.
getting at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. lazy workers is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Not so much it's twofold. I mean, you're going to have lazy kids. You're going to produce lazy kids if you just put them in front of a screen all day, not doing anything active. But yeah, you're right. It's going to produce lazy teachers or workers because they're just going to rely on the technology and do it themselves. Like as a teacher, your job is to determine or a coach. I mean, I coach and all that stuff and coach jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you said you got a gym, right? So I'm sure you work with training and you coach people through their health.
Right.
You know, you got to determine when you're working with each individual person, is this someone that I can just tell them something and they're going to comprehend it? Or do I have to pull out a chalkboard and write it all down so they can, and walk them through the how and the why for them to get it? And so, you know, there's guys on my team like that I coach. And it's like, I can tell one kid to do it and he'll visualize it and do it. The other kid, other kids, I actually have to physically show them how to do things.
Right.
And so you're right. If a teacher's just going to get lazy and put that on the screen and say, hey, learn it, that's not going to work for every person. You know,
exactly.
Everybody learns differently.
Yeah, everybody learns differently, and you're right. It could be making for lazy teachers, but it's hard to tell because we're not in the classroom or how that's working.
That's fair.
I think a huge problem with the whole thing, and I think this has been spoken on through a lot of channels that I think we would all subscribe to, is that most parents these days treat school and the school system, especially public education, as more of a daycare because they have to go to work or because they just don't have the attention span to take care of their kids. Maybe it could be any number of things, but the two of you are super involved in your kids' lives. You've taught them blue collar work ethic. You've taught them the appreciation of traditional values. You probably raised them in the church to some degree too. You haven't given the title of substitute parent to a teacher who's only there 9 months out of the year, who gets protected by a union so that they can take plays off, yet your guys' job as parents still continues when they're not in the classroom.
Well, my kid's not in school yet, but he will be next year. I think we're going to be, kind of putting him in that preschool kind of system. But yeah, it's crazy to see. He has learned a lot from like these YouTube videos. I think. I mean, when I get him around other kids around his age, it seems like his speech is, he speaks better than most kids that are 20 months old. In my opinion, that I've come across. Like tonight, we're going to go to soccer practice, and the age range of the kids there is 18 to 24 months. And, I have to say, I mean, I don't see any of the other kids there like speaking as much as he did. Now, I don't know if that's just the fact that my wife's a teacher and she's, been on him pretty much since he's been born to like learn. And she just is just a rock star teacher. But yeah, it's just, it's crazy to see the differences between kids. And, and now that I'm getting around other parents and other kids, you can kind of see the differences and I know we've talked about this before, but how different kids are just straight out of the box.
Yeah. I mean, Connor and Oliver, 15 months apart, are totally different.
Yeah.
It's insane how different they are. And I mean, I got a lot, like being a teacher is a very thankless position.
Oh,
it's the amount.
It should be a $250,000 a year job.
Right. Exactly. And
police officers.
And exactly. It's just one of those professions that doesn't get the credit that it deserves. And I also think it goes back to those parents that are my kid's the fucking greatest. Like, oh my God, my kid can do no wrong. Oh my God. It's
professional parents.
Yeah. It's just, and they're going to bitch and scream and yell at the teachers instead of taking any faults of their own for raising spoiled little brats. Like, you know what? Like
my parents got to call home. I got my ass chewed, then beat.
Oh, you ain't kidding about that.
Shit.
Yeah. So, it's parents aren't taking accountability for the way they're raising their kids. And that's another issue. Like I've talked about it on past podcasts where with coaching, like the parents, when it comes to sports, like those parents are the worst. And teachers having to deal with that too. Like,
it's to a whole nother level, I'm sure that even than coaching, you've got,
absolutely.
You got a classroom full of how many kids are in a classroom. At least when I went to school, it was anywhere from, 30-ish kids in a class and just dealing with, 60 parents coming at you, telling you how they want their kid to be taught, or my kid's this, my kid's that, my kid's special. Like that's gotta be exhausting.
Your job, the teacher's job is to teach the curriculum. Our job as parents is to teach them everything else.
Right.
How to be good people, morals, principles, ethics, work ethic. Like that's not stuff that you're learning in school. You learn the curriculum and what's being taught. You put in, as parents, the effort to teach them all those other things. And I feel like that's where things are getting lazy too, by putting them in front of screens and all that stuff. I think that's the
1000%.
That's the worst thing about, or the worst group of people that are getting lazy, in my opinion.
There's no standard anymore for anything. And again, I'm not a parent, but I see plenty of parents, and from what you guys said, you guys are rock stars, you know, but I've seen plenty of parents that say, oh, just give him his iPad so he shuts up, this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't stand that.
Oh,
it's laziness, but it says a lot about the person and probably the life they personally live themselves. So, and unfortunately, that's the way America's going, which, again, unfortunate, but there's no standard of living.
Have you guys seen the TV show The Newsroom with on HBO?
No.
I've heard about it.
Is that Tina Fey in it?
No, this has got
Or is this Reese Witherspoon?
No, Jeffrey, or is it not was it The Newsroom? It's on HBO. It's got oh shoot, what's his name from Dumb and Dumber, the blonde-headed dude. Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels, yeah.
And he's this anchor. In the very first scene, he just someone asks him, why is America the greatest country?
This is this is from about 10 years ago, actually. He goes, why is America the greatest country? And they're like, freedom and freedom. And then the leftist says something leftist, and he just mic drops everyone's, America's not the greatest country on earth anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That show's awesome, but that is probably the best opening scene to anything I've ever seen. And it's true. And he hits on every single point that we just talked about. Why we're not the greatest country. And
no, we're not.
It's it's because of these things. Like we're not building things anymore.
We try to automate everything.
Yeah. And again, there are some advantages of having automation and technology, but for everything, no.
Yeah.
And
Henry Ford did a bang up job.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
They're good, and then there's bad, and we are just overusing it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, shit, the technology, look at this fucking room. Technology.
Right. Like cameras, microphones, lights,
there is a lot of great things with technology, but if you use it the wrong way, it can be bad. And I feel like that's where we're heading. And that scares me, because it's like, fuck. I mean, we got kids that we got to raise, and I'm like, what the fuck are we leaving for our kids and their future?
Well, if I may, the thing about it is that when we think of what the greatest country on the world is, I don't know another country that people leave everything they've ever known to go there and build. And the fact is that we can still be the greatest.
We still can.
For
sure.
But the thing is, in the United States, people have to stop giving in to policy and media and legislation that is written on the basis of guilt, shame, and fear-mongering. The entire last 4 years of our lives were a referendum on what we were told from the media, what we were told from big government, what we were told in even big education. Because in high school, they're not allowed to talk politics. In college, they talk politics. What has happened is that the idea of oppressors and oppressed runs the roost now. And that's why we're okay with letting other countries pass us. We can still be the greatest country on the face of this motherfucker.
Oh, absolutely.
We just got to stop buying into this bullshit that we have to play nice with everybody. No, the fuck we don't.
Well, and I think that video that you sent us today, Patrick Bet David? Yeah. So he talks about that. Like, this is going to be like, I was talking about how there's 40 major elections around the world
in 2024.
In 2024. Yeah. And the people that are in power are so scared of what's about to happen, because there could be such a massive change in everything.
Afuera.
But the one point that he was making that I found really interesting, he said that this is going to be mainstream media's last election of having any sort of influence on the election. Mm-hmm. After this year, by the next election in 2028, mainstream media is going to be gone. It's going to be social media. It's going to be social media. It's going to be podcasts. Independent media, because people are so sick and tired of the bullshit that's coming from mainstream media. And this is the last year that they're going to have any sort of coverage or sway in an election.
Speaking of corruption and speaking of media, did you guys see Hunter Biden walk out of his hearing today?
Oh.
Marjorie Taylor Greene opened up to questions and he stormed out. And bro,
what did she ask him?
She was like, who paid off Mr. Biden to be here today? Some other rep was like, sir, you are the spitting image of white privilege. You have no balls. These were literally said to him in a courtroom. And he literally, or it was at a hearing. And it's just like, dude, I heard it on DC Drano. I heard it on the Typical Liberal, because you're right. It's the entire reason we're doing this right now, is that independent voices deserve to be heard. And if you purely rely on social media or big media like Fox or CNN or MSNBC to carry your voice for you, they're going to lie to you. They're going to gaslight you, and then they're going to sponsor it by Pfizer.
Right. Yeah. Instead, you can listen to 4 South County Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Chapping it up on the mic.
Just
The Zach and Pat show where you're condoned to drink every time someone says, you know. Yeah, you're doing good today.
Yeah. I know. I think I've only said it a couple times.
I haven't caught any.
I've caught myself, but I'm trying to not stop the show every time I say it and go, fuck.
Why? The people love it.
Yeah, I know.
Sponsored by Hen.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Damn. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw any of our other episodes, but apparently I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I say,
It's great.
a lot. And so I'm working on it. It's
I say like a lot.
This is the record.
progress. Oh, yeah. Only 5? That's it?
We hit 62 on our last episode.
Holy shit, bud.
I just
Well,
fucking talk.
We were rolling we went for a long time.
We did.
were talking
it was like an
about,
hour and a half podcast. So only ended up being an hour. I think Murph cut a lot out.
Oh, you think it takes me an hour and a half to edit? You wrong.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's 1.5
God.
hours later.
Yeah, Murph's got the tough job. We
Oh,
just
bro, we just get to sit here and look pretty, talk.
So,
Fuck.
but man, we went off there. That was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good one.
Well, I guess we can get back to your business. Tell us a little bit about White River and kind of what your days today, like day to day, look like now.
I wear so many freaking hats, dude. It's unbelievable. I mean, I got an amazing girlfriend right now, Taylor. She owns a cookie business, actually.
Yeah, dude, those cookies look awesome.
Dude, she's killing it with that.
Dude, it's like so. I love her social media and like the videos she does. Those are so cool.
Let's add her to the list of women that
Yeah,
we're
for sure.
have on the show.
Shout out Taylor Made Treats.
You're,
Yeah.
you're
There we
welcome.
go.
I told you
Taylor
about those
Fetch.
You're welcome. I told you about those camera settings, Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. So she's doing that on the side, along with, helping me. She's actually working on a project right now. Why I get to be here and do this. So bless her heart. Love her for it. Like I said, it's really me and her, and then one other person. We're going to kick off and get another person rolling here. So we'd have the 4 people I was talking about. But really our major project is going to be, if it goes through, is the CrossFit Achieve.
I can't wait.
It's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be great to work with them. So hopefully everything works out and that,
Oh man, I'm so excited.
that goes
about that.
through.
Rachel showed me the plans, and it looks fucking
It's gonna be-
sick.
It's going to be crazy, dude. And it's just leaps and bounds and just trying to get there.
Oh, dude, the community that Rachel's creating there is just
Amazing.
It's insane, dude. I mean, I've never seen. I mean, this past weekend we had she does like an awards banquet at the end of every year. It was the third time, the third one since it's been around, and it's just I've never seen a gym that basically overnight's going to transform into like a banquet hall or have catered food and give out awards for like member of the year, biggest transformation. It's just
crazy.
The list goes on, and it's just such a cool spot. I've seen it change so many people's lives. I mean, I was there this morning and whooped my ass. I mean, I definitely don't. I mean, I look forward to going there every time, but I know every single time I leave there, I'm gonna be. It destroys me every time.
Yeah.
Like today, I had to do like 90 wall balls, like just and half of them were like a 30-pound wall ball. So take a 30-pound rock and throw it up 11 feet. Brutal. Like
Dad ain't built for that. I'm not built for that.
say,
bud.
dude, you're looking juicy.
We're getting there.
I was gonna say,
we're getting there. I actually talked to Rachel, and I wanted her to train me for Monster Games,
Dude, you should do it.
and she
dude.
wanted to, and then actually hurt my shoulder. But I'm back. I'm good. I'm better. So I actually got to talk to her about that again. Man,
For the people that don't know, explain Monster Games.
I don't actually. So Monster Games is a CrossFit event.
It's held in
that-
Joplin, right?
Yep.
Yep, held in Joplin.
I was at the first Monster Games.
Are you privy to it? You want to give them a little lowdown on it, Murph?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually funny because Mark was the original one who set up Monster Games to be an affiliation with First Form, which
Really?
is so funny because Mark in the CrossFit world, even though he wasn't like he won at HOA, but that's besides the point. Monster Games is literally where
freak.
like people do qualifiers and basically submit their progress through social media. And I think at the end of it, like 300 teams get together over a weekend. and basically you're going from like 7 a.m. till 9 at night, and the last guys standing, superhumans.
Oh, dude.
Big,
I've
strong,
seen a lot
fast.
of the first form people's teams post on social media. Like, it's fucking insane. Like,
Fuck yeah, it is.
I mean,
That's
I
the
didn't-
shit I want to try.
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw,
Right?
dude. I want to
Just
challenge.
push yourself to the brink, you know?
Bro,
It's-
I've done one CrossFit competition. I mean, it was 4 workouts in a matter of like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal. Like
See?
it sucks.
Stamina is
what
my
I suck
problem.
at is the
Yes.
Olympic lifts. I mean, that's where it kind of kills me. I
Yeah.
don't have a heavy clean and jerk. I don't have a heavy snatch. So it's just like those are movements that are still relatively new to me that I
Right.
never did before
Same.
CrossFit. Like I'm used to squat, bench, deadlift.
Yep.
I've been doing those
1000%.
for a decade. So like I can do those no problem. But when you start getting into the the clean and jerks and the snatches, it's the triple extension movements, and it's just such a completely different game because it's less about strength and more about like technique and explosion and like it's just a hard movements. It really is.
How you guys do those pull-ups? What are they?
Yeah.
Kip-ups or whatever?
kipping pull-ups or butterfly
how?
pull-ups.
I don't do that. I can't.
You could do it. I figured it out.
I can figure it out.
It's
Oh,
a
man.
flexibility thing. That's what I realized is like my shoulder. For doing
Ooh.
a decade of kind of like bodybuilding style
Yep.
movements, only you're not working on that like gymnastic.
Mhm.
Getting your shoulder behind you, and you need to like get into this.
My
She calls it the
flexibility.
Superman and the.
Getting excited talking about CrossFit, dude.
Oh, dude, I know, bro. I pit out in every show.
You
I was
do.
like,
I
guess
call
I
it
just
out
need
in
to-
every show.
I guess I just need to start wearing white shirts so it doesn't show. I don't know. No matter what show we do, I think I've pitted out in every single one of them.
Getting all pumped up.
And the
But it
window's
is-
open.
The window's open, fans going. It's like 30 degrees outside, and I'm still sweating.
Getting excited talking
Sweaty
about
dude.
CrossFit.
I'm
Yeah.
the same way. I feel it.
You've got this project going on possibly with Rachel and CF
Mhm.
CF Achieve. What else you got going on? What else you got in the works right now?
Zach's gonna be helping me. He's gonna be finding me houses, and
There you go.
He's got a flip going on right now.
Yeah, I do got a flip going on. That's where
Okay.
Taylor is. She's out there at the flip right now. Hopefully get that sold and move into doing some rentals and
There you go.
buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Rent. It long-term end vision goal of White River is not only supply America with quality jobs, but is my overall end game view was to create a company so great that I could every year do one or more like home giveaways
Oh, gotcha.
Dude, I
or
love that.
major renovations for people that just can't afford it because nobody understands the price of, dude. I don't know how many times I walk in, I can tell somebody a price and they're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Or they're like, okay. And then
And you never hear from him.
never hear from them. You know what I mean? And I get it. Shit is expensive, man. But at the end of the day, it pays to play. And it's a skill, man.
Oh, absolutely.
We're out here busting our backs. And again, there's not a lot of us. And there's definitely not a lot of us that actually show up when we're supposed to. That's
And I
what-
think there's
Right.
fewer and fewer as we were talking about these jobs. The jobs in the trades. I feel like that's something that less and less people are wanting, unfortunately. And I really think that we should, try to change that because I mean those are jobs that we need. We need people to build
yeah.
things. Otherwise, what are we going to do? Are we going to have robots do it? You
I
know?
want my son to know everything. And, he doesn't have to be a master at it, but like, don't call anyone to fix anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and hunting too. Like, my dad didn't teach me a lot about hunting. My dad taught me how to rebuild cars and stuff like that. But I want my son to be able to take care of his family if I ever have one.
Yeah.
Learn off the land, build off the land, shit like that. But as far as like plumbers and stuff, we talked about this the other day. But the
yesterday.
CrossFit thing,
Yeah.
dude, 3 plumbers that just never showed up or wouldn't contact me or Rachel about something.
No shit.
Unbelievable. Like, we're trying to give you money here, dude.
Right.
What's
We're
the
trying to
deal?
give you business. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you end up
Yeah.
calling the people I gave you?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yep. Took care of it,
Sick. Told you.
We're
We're good. Right.
Boom.
Why don't
Just
you
like
No,
that.
and it goes back. I mean, you get what you pay for.
1,000%.
And no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's contracting or mortgage or real estate, whether on the sales side, like you get what you pay for. If you want discount, guess what? You're probably going to get shit
Mhm.
service and everything that goes along with it. Like, there's a reason the people that are good at what they do charge what they charge, and it's because they've earned it, and there's a reason why. And it's frustrating seeing people always try and cut the corners, and
People want a lifetime fitness experience for Planet Fitness prices.
yeah, I mean, champagne taste on a beer budget is what
That's one of my.
always-
That's something
what
I always.
we
That's one of my
Uh-huh.
favorite
Right,
lines.
right.
So
What does Brad Lee say? Good, fast, and cheap. You got to
Yeah.
pick
Two
pick
of
two.
them. Pick two?
Yeah, pick
Uh-huh.
two. Good,
Yeah.
fast, and cheap.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And guess what?
I think
Yeah.
I'd be inclined to pick like good and cheap, honestly.
Oh, you really? Think
If
about
I,
that.
if I have time to waste, yeah.
Depends on what it is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
That's fair.
If
Depends
it's-
on what it
because
is.
Well, that-
because if it's
well,
a
let's
flip,
look at it
if it's
because
a
if-
flip, you don't want to like.
if-
For example, time is money. Every month that
Time
passes,
is money, man.
you know, I mean, you
Take
get it.
away.
Every, you get it
Oh,
every
I
single
get it.
time.
I get it.
Every month that passes by, you got to
I'm
pay
just
that
like,
hard money loan. You know,
Yep. It's eating away. But you know, when I did that work for Big Jim, he's like, I don't care. Just do your thing. Blah blah blah.
Shit and shinola.
That's exactly it. He's like, I don't care. And as we kept progressing through his house, he's like, hey, you know, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. He's like, I don't care how long it takes. And I'm
Do it
like,
right. Do it now.
okay, fair enough. And then we did get towards December. I'm like, he's like, you almost done? I'm like, Jim, you keep adding stuff, man. I'm like, what do you mean? I love when customers are like, I thought it was going to be this or this or this.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
You thought.
Yeah, it was until, you know, you added 5 more things to the fucking punch list there, guy.
No.
You know?
yeah, for sure.
I think this is a good plug on it's okay to also fire customers that can be unreasonable.
1,000%.
100%. I have.
Absolutely.
I know.
1,000%.
They
They cost you money, bud.
I mean, at the end of the day, like even in my business, real estate agent, mortgage loan officer, contractor for a bunch of different things, we're going to work with difficult people. And it's the people who tell you something on the front end. But I'd also like to add this on now that you've gotten started. Oh, well, I wanted this too when you're done. Oh, well, how about these edits? It's like, guys, we understand customer service is everything, but part of it is also be someone who the contractor or the business looks at you and wants to serve you too. Like make us want to go out of our way to help you, to give you value. Because asking for stuff on the back end stuff, it usually bites you in the butt because then you're not happy because you didn't ask for it on the front end.
Right. Yeah.
Worth mentioning. Also, probably shout out the plumber who did a good job too.
Yeah. Who was it?
Sure Fix Plumbing. They're one of my go-tos for sure. I've sent them. I've used them for a number of my properties, and then I've sent them to a number of my clients, and I've always gotten great, great response. They show up usually within 24 to 48 hours, and they're always reasonably priced. So good and fast.
For sure. Sure Fix Plumbing.
Sure Fix.
Did we just write their jingle?
Yeah.
I'm going to patent that motherfucker.
You better.
So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you face as a contractor, and how do you navigate those?
People.
Like
People.
clients
That's
or
everybody's.
like subcontractors or
Everything in between, dude. It's just, again, it's people in general. It could be the customer like Murph talked about. Okay, look, man, that to be quite frank, the cheapest people are the worst people to deal with.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I hate to throw that out there. I don't want people to think of me in a certain light, but it's just
But you
real.
don't. You
It's just
you
real.
don't build a cheap product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you
it-
shouldn't. You like.
If I finished a basement and the lady had her plumbing lines on the outside of the house and their neighbor, who's the plumber, was going to come in and fix it. So long story short, I said, hey, how much of the ceiling do you need cleared? Just over on the edge of the house. Okay, cool. Drywalled all the way over to it. Left them the area clear that the plumber and her said. And next day I came back, all the drywall was ripped off the ceiling.
All of it.
All of it
Oh God.
in that area. Guess who had to pay for that? Not me.
Right.
Guess who wasn't happy about it? The customer. Guess who got into a long fight and didn't get payment for a long time because they couldn't understand that they should have to pay for the extra materials and they are going to have to pay for the time my employees had to redo everything we did after it was all mud and taped and sanded. And that was at least a minimum $500 worth of damage that they did
For people that don't understand mudding and taping, I highly recommend, if you know a contractor, just go to the job when they do a mud and tape job. It's insane how much time, effort, and just everything that goes into it. I've seen it firsthand from having my own stuff done. It is a pain in the ass. That is not cheap and easy to do.
Oh, it's
insane
skill for sure.
No, absolutely.
I mean, look at these ceilings right now. Like
right.
There's what, probably three sheets of drywall up there, Matt.
No one can see the ceiling.
I know, but I know it doesn't matter. But there's 3 sheets of ceiling. There's probably at least 3 sheets of drywall up there.
Oh yeah.
You don't see any of those seams.
Nope.
None.
You know, they're invisible, and that's mud and taping.
It's an art. It takes time, and people don't understand that you can't rush things. The humidity is wrong in your house. The mud's not going to dry. Things like that can slow up a job. Listen to your contractor when he asks you to do something, when he says to do something. If you don't want to do that or you don't understand why, ask a question. Any situation, even if you're the contractor or the real estate agent or the graphics guy or the media, ask a freaking question, dude.
Yeah.
You're not going to look like an idiot. You're going to look like an idiot on the back end.
I think people are really afraid to look dumb.
I'm not.
You know,
I
I think
either,
most
but
people
that's
are
because I like to learn shit.
I think
you
people
know?
like to look smart or like.
Well, and that's one of the first things I tell my clients is there are no dumb questions when it comes to buying, when it comes to buying a house. Absolutely zero. I don't care what it is. I would rather have you ask me a million questions than ask me zero, because at least I know that you're trying to learn or understand versus later down the road you're calling me with 1,000 questions and you're like, well,
you never told me.
Yeah.
Oh, you screwed me on this and that.
Yeah, Black Friday specials.
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah.
And dude, Zach, like we talked about yesterday with the plumber thing, not just customers. I'm trying to give another person, another business, supply them with money, right?
Right.
Because I can't do it. So I need to make relationships in the community. I want to give them a pretty substantial job, or at least give them the chance to have it.
Well, and it's not just that job. It's the opportunity of creating a relationship with you that could be 1,000 jobs down the road.
Uh-huh.
That's the way I'm sure you and I look at every single client.
Well, yeah.
We look at every single person that we work with is it's not just this person that I'm working with. It's this person that I'm working with and the 1,000 people that they know in the general area.
Well, think about it. You sold Blackwood's apartment, right?
Right.
I knew you from that, right? Okay. Now here we are. You made the house happen, right? For me.
Right.
Okay. Spent tons of time. We were looking left, right, went to a lot of places. I've went and looked at houses for you, right?
Yeah.
You happen to know and go to the gym that I'm going to be working on. Everything is intertwined. In St. Louis, man,
dude, it's
in St. Louis, everybody knows everyone.
Small city, big town. However you want to look at it. Yeah.
If you're going to be that much of an idiot to stomp on an opportunity, it's probably going to get around to somebody, some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
Word of mouth. Shit spreads.
And you can't do that.
No.
Especially with this technology that we got. I can call someone real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sending postcards over here, people.
Right.
I'm saying don't fucking talk to that guy again.
Well, it goes back to that conversation we had with Matt, where like we were talking about the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but like here in St. Louis, like there's 1 degree of separation.
Fuck yeah, there is.
From us ever in this business and who we know, especially if you're elite at what you do. Because we know other elite people, and if you're not going to step up, then I can call somebody that
1,000%.
Well, look at us in this room. I mean, and this is a coincidence, but all 4 of us here, we all grew up probably within like a 3 or 5 mile radius of each other.
Absolutely.
We all grew up in Melville, Oakville area.
Right.
But for those of you that don't know, it's just this little small county, part of the county of South County here in St. Louis, Missouri. But we all grew up you guys kind of went to high school together, right?
Kinda.
Kinda.
Right.
We lived together for 3 years too.
Well, yeah,
We went to the same high school as
my ex-wife.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just there's so many. I'm sure we could each name 20 people that we all know each other.
It just goes back to just got to be a good person, and that's the number one problem I run into. There's not good people.
Well, and that's
and
the
if
thing,
you're not, word spreads fast.
But like I said, I mentioned earlier, South County Hoosiers. I mean, we grew up. It's a blue collar. When we were growing up, it was blue collar. So we were raised with people that were hardworking with their hands. That's what we saw. That's what we were raised by. So that's what we know. Where it's, you're starting to see a shift. I mean, they call it Oakville Island now.
Yeah.
You know, like once you get there, you're not going to leave, and
Yeah.
it's become, you know, it has.
You got
It's
everything
really
you need
blown-
on Telegraph.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
I
So-
always make my parents still live off Telegraph. You know, we always make the joke that they never leave. They never leave the island.
Right.
Oakville's nice, dude.
Oh,
It is.
It's
It
true.
is so
For sure.
different.
It is.
It has gotten every year has gotten better and better and better since. I mean, I just remember when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of it.
But look at the
Yeah.
leadership in Oakville. Like I worked at the sports pub for a couple years.
You did?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
And when I was working at the sports
Really?
pub,
Literally down
yeah,
the street from my parents' house.
absolutely.
I lived right there.
It's
right by Queen of All Saints.
An
so-
amazing spot with
Yeah.
amazing
Christopher.
people.
So did I.
But when I was
Cripple Creek.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Fuck, dude.
What?
See?
I literally grew
There
up
it
down the
is.
fucking street
There
from
it
each other.
is.
Yeah. So
Another
I was,
coincidence.
So I was on the.
well, I mean, dude, I was born in the city. I was born on Southwest and Arsenal. You see how the city is ran.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you-
Oh yeah.
Then you look at Lime, how Lime is ran. It's very specific. It's where the word Hoosier is kind of prevalent, especially when you go a little bit further, north on Gravois. You know what I'm saying? But when you go to Oakville,
Or
I
north
worked-
on Telegraph.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. But I worked for the Miskovics.
Oh,
And they are awesome people.
I know the Miskovics.
They're-
Yeah.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
the Miskovics because they're very community-oriented people. They're very values-driven people. And when I worked at the sports pub, they're the most conservative people you could ever meet in your life. I was still very liberal at the time, and it rubbed me the wrong way. But you know what I always noticed? Everything in Oakville is nicer because all the people are much more conservative about their money. You go out to the city, it looks like shit.
Yeah.
It's garbage. And also, here's another thing. And when it comes to word of mouth, what was the story Andy always told us? You know who Jeff Jarvis is?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? You guys
Yep.
know who Jeff Jarvis is?
No.
You know what Dell computers were?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So before Apple was Apple, before everyone was a professional nerd, Dell was the biggest computer.
Yeah.
Until one thing happened. There was a tech writer by the name of Jeff Jarvis, and the only computers he used were Dell's. Until one day, Dell sent him a lemon about 2006. Didn't work, problems, bugs, needed fixes, so he had to send it back. Hey, Dell, I can't use a computer for the next 2 weeks while you send me my next one. Mind you just send me one to use in the meantime? No, we can't do that. Why? Policy. Dude had such an awful experience with their customer service. He wrote a scathing article about why you shouldn't shop with Dell.
And tank the company.
Tanked the company several billions of dollars until Apple was on top.
Boom.
You never know who you're talking to. And that's why my podcast, little plug real quick, it's called The Talk. It's so that I can help people like you, spread positive word of mouth about your business. Because negative word of mouth travels 10 times as fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
1,000%.
Absolutely.
Do a good job. Get good word of mouth.
Which,
y'all.
what you're talking about, you never know who you're talking to. That's why, you got to uphold yourself in a certain manner, dude.
Personal excellence.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to go out with a rough beard, raggedy hair, smelling like a bag of dicks, pardon my French. You know what I mean? I could walk,
Right.
there could be a millionaire next to me, and then maybe he's feeling frisky and he wants to shoot the shit in the pizza aisle at local Schnucks, and
Right.
we start talking about remodeling his mansion. Boom. There you go. He likes me because my shoes or something. That's why we stopped talking.
For sure.
Boom.
Yeah, me and Gina, I was telling her the other day, or she was saying, all right, I'm like, hey, before we leave the house, I'm going to change. And she's like, why? We're just going here. And I said, well, I don't leave the house in sweatpants typically. Like I like to wear, unless I'm going to the gym, I always want to look halfway put together because it's
Absolutely.
never know who, I can't tell you how many times I've met
Mhm.
someone at a grocery store or some just random places where the real estate has come up and then I've ended up working with that person. I could probably name 4 or 5 instances off the top of my head, just showing up and looking halfway presentable. I'm not talking wearing a
dressed
suit.
to the
I'm not,
nines,
no, bro. But
no,
I'm not
you
talking
look
don't look like a
good.
slob. Just look like
Exactly.
you're put together.
Like you have a regular standard. Like
Right.
you appreciate yourself, right?
For sure.
And you appreciate your wife, and you don't want people to be like, what the hell is she doing with that?
Right.
For
sure.
Well, it goes back to saying it never hurts. It never hurts to be the best dressed.
Exactly.
never.
Bingo.
100%.
1,000%.
100%.
As I sit here looking
Oh,
like
dude,
this,
you
coming
look
from the
No.
gym. No, but I
Came from the gym.
coming from the gym. I
Yeah,
came,
exactly.
I came from
Coming
the gym.
from the gym, it's acceptable.
Yep.
And you know what? That is a point to be made because you said, I'm going to be on top of my gym shit this year. Man came from the gym before he came to work.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
that
man.
shit
Give me
right
some.
there.
Love it.
Lost that consistency. You got to get back to it.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to speak
Got a
about it. I
personal
got to do it,
standard.
right?
Yeah,
That's right.
these people are going to hold you accountable.
That's right. I
So,
hope so.
You want
Yeah.
to come to the gym with me? I'll be at Exist every morning, bud.
What time?
5 a.m.
The days that I don't have my kids, I'll
Hey, if you want to come up there, if you text me and let me know what days you want to work out,
okay.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah, so I love the gym that I work out at. The problem is they do classes,
Right.
and there's no open gyms, and the classes that it's just with my schedule and with kids, unless I'm wanting to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning
Mhm.
to do those classes, then it's tough to get in throughout the day. But
Yeah.
usually if I can get in, I'm usually getting in because the people that are at usually the 8:30 are awesome people. We have great conversations, and it's in an area where there's a lot of
money.
so it's nice to have those conversations. You never know what's going to happen. Like, hey, peeps at the gym, if you know somebody needing a house, let me
Boom.
know.
Dude,
Oh,
You know?
100%.
So-
Relationship, no matter where you go.
Exactly. So, and and one of the guys that I have on my list is a financial advisor that I met through there. So, and another guy connected me with his girlfriend, and she's also friends with my neighbor, and they've used my house to shoot commercials that I've made money for. So
See?
it's the gym is great.
It's value, man.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
tell you how many great connections I've made from the gym, whether it's Rachel's gym or my
Right.
CrossFit gym, or my jiu-jitsu gym. I've closed several deals just from, and here's the thing is I never talk about real estate unless it's brought up to me at the gym, but every
It's
single
just-
one, but this goes back to social media and it being a powerful tool. Every single one of those people that
Yep.
I'm friends with at the gym, they all know what I do because I
Well, and I bet they
popping up
support
on their
and I
feed.
bet they're here supporting the podcast too. Because every single one that I see,
Probably.
they're like, "Oh, I love that episode." Like,
Yeah.
there's the most supportive group of people. I mean,
Well, they
you're in
want
the
to see you
gym
win.
busting your ass.
Right.
Like you want that person to win. It's awesome. I love the gym community.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the best. Like if you're gonna join any community, if you're new to a town, find yourself a good gym.
Yeah, and,
Oh,
and
without
that
a
goes
doubt.
into
Yeah.
class. I always think that's something I've gotten into over the last couple of years. I've gotten into CrossFit and jiu-jitsu and all these kind of class-based gyms. Because I worked out at Exist and Club Fitness and Gold's Gym when it was here. All the kind of bodybuilder where you kind of go in and just open gym, do whatever you want. And trust me, I love those kinds of gyms. But there is something about gyms with classes that I really like for a number of reasons. I think it's well, you build a community because you're all doing the same
Mhm.
shit. You're all
Yep.
suffering together. There's something special about that. And then second off, what I really like about it, especially if you're just getting into the gym, I love that I'm, like today I went to CrossFit class I went to the 9 a.m. class. It guarantees that I'm getting a hard fucking workout and I'm in and out in an hour. I love that because I
Facts.
can't,
Oh, absolutely.
I go to a Club Fitness on Sundays typically, and I spend anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours there just because I'm fucking around. I'm on my phone. I'm
Mhm.
dicking around. I'm talking to people. I'm doing all these things, and
See?
I like being able to be, especially I've only got so much time in the day. I like being in and out in an hour, and it's nice.
That's why I go in the morning. I
Yeah,
mean,
that makes sense.
although I do dick around, I talk to a lot of people in the morning. It's always the same people, man. It's
I-
always the same old people in the morning,
yeah,
plus a few other people that are younger that own businesses, and everyone's pretty much in there to do their shit. But
Yeah.
we all know each other's schedule. Be like, okay, that guy's gonna be on that machine today.
Yeah.
It's-
Right.
he's
I
doing
mean,
back. It's
it-
Tuesday.
it's fucking fun though. It's
Yeah.
so fun, dude. And but I know if I don't get up and do it in the morning,
Yeah, you're not
I'm
gonna.
not fucking doing it later.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go hang drywall all day and then be like, oh, yeah, let's go do some heavy deadlifts there,
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
You see,
Not fucking happening.
I would be the same way, but my job isn't physically demanding.
Yeah.
So it's
But mentally draining.
It is mentally draining.
For
But
sure.
but my thing is like I love going to the gym, and obviously the physical results are great.
Mhm.
But what I get mentally from a workout, like I'm okay
1,000%.
if I'm mentally drained. I'm okay to go to the gym when I'm mentally drained because I know at the end of that, if I can just give myself that hour to focus through for that hour,
Mhm.
by the end of that, whether I'm mentally drained or not, I'm gonna be feeling
That's
fucking
fair.
fantastic.
That's fair.
Physically though, like if I was doing a physical job, I get it. There's no way that
Look,
I
even
would
if
want to get
I'm-
it done beforehand.
Even if I'm not working on a job and it's not physical, for me, it's even mental. I mean, I know it's just ingrained in me now
Yeah.
that I have to go in the morning. I have to.
Right.
Like,
You got that
otherwise,
routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel.
well, it's like kind of
Different.
charges you up too in the morning.
Yeah.
Too, kind of gives you
I
a little
s-
burst of energy. Almost.
I started it when I was doing
Does-
show prep when I was at First Form and I started going in the morning. I'm like, it's fucking nice.
right?
like,
because you did a
I
bodybuilding
accomplished
show, right?
something that already done.
Right.
Check it off.
Yeah.
So if I get off at 4:00, I got an open day the rest of the night, right? You know what I mean?
Several hours.
I
to do
feel
whatever the fuck you
accomplished
want.
right away. I started getting up at 3:45 at one point. And I'm like, whew, kind of nice because everyone's quiet. But at the same time, I'm like, is this really sustainable for me? I'm
Right.
like, I don't know. My girlfriend didn't like it. So, anywhere between 5 and 6, we'll get up there and go to the gym. So you should join me anytime you want.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing, yours is in the morning. I'm a night owl. Like
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in bed by 8 o'clock.
See,
Oh, bro.
well, with kids, my kids are usually like, I'll put them physically in their bed at 8:30, but that doesn't mean they're actually going to fall asleep at 8:30. They're
That's fair.
up I mean, if you watch any funny parenting skit on Instagram or whatever, it's a kid, hey, mom, I got a question for you. And it's some stupid random question. It's like that for an hour. And then they finally fall asleep. So like by 9:30, that's when they're finally falling asleep.
That's a workout in itself.
It is. And so I use that. Like I always have to give myself 2 hours at the end of the day just to decompress. Like that's my alone time. That's where I'm, reading, journaling, doing things like that to decompress at the end of the day. And that's starts and if I get that done, like, because obviously I'm not being able to do chores while the kids are awake. So once I get the kids to sleep, now I'm cleaning the kitchen, doing dishes, laundry, all of that stuff. By the time I actually get into my bed to have my alone time, it's probably 10 o'clock. So if I'm taking 2 hours to just do the things that I want to do for myself for that day, it's midnight. And obviously, I could probably flip that around and start that in the morning. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you right now, if you have kids, my kids, and this is a habit that I need to break, but for the way I look at it is this isn't going to happen forever. My kids climb in bed with me. I'm a heavy sleeper, so they'll sneak in and I won't know it. But I'll wake up in the morning and they'll be right there next to me. So if I have my kids waking up early, if I wake up, they're waking up. They're going to be right there with me. Right. So it doesn't really work that way. Where if I get them into bed, I can do it that way. I can have that time. So, I've just gotten on that routine, and that's got the routine of waking up early. But
there's power in finding what works for you.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A lot of people just don't even care. They're like, I just can't do it. Sorry. Right.
Yeah. It's not that trust me. If I had the routine to set up to wake up early and do it, I would probably much rather do it that way and get it knocked out, done and early. Yep. And then at the end of the day, just, hey, you know what? I can just sit back with a good book or, a TV show or something just to unwind and then fall asleep. But kids change a lot of kids change a lot of those things. So
that makes it hard, but hey, it's worth it, right?
Absolutely. I wouldn't change it. Yeah. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. Well, I think that's our time. We should wrap it up.
Absolutely. Matt, it was great having you.
Great having you, man.
I appreciate it.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to?
No, I mean, at the end of it, I appreciate all the fucking avenues we went down.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a good time.
I'm not one to actually stick to a course plan if he didn't figure that out.
No.
I kind of figured it off left and right.
We weren't either.
We text each other things that we want to chat about,
and then it
just completely goes.
See this window behind me? They're out there.
They're out there.
So that's the great, and that's the great thing. I mean, however it flows, however it goes. I mean, that's the beauty of this whole podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you're local to St. Louis and you need a great contractor, look up White River Contracting. Contact me. I'll get you in touch with Matt. Find him on Instagram. Find us on Instagram. You enjoy the show, tell a friend, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That really helps out the show. We'll see you guys on Monday.